Meditation for Professional Life. I am Kithsiri Samarasinghe. The objective of this presentation is to give a helping hand towards improving oneself through meditation practice. First of all, let us reflect on all our relationships with the others. We can easily see that our relationships with others are all intertwined and also complicated. These relationships are all about give and take and proper understanding of one's responsibilities. Here is one way to simplify our thinking to understand our relationship with external world. At one level, you are a member of your society. What is my social responsibility? You can think of yourself. In the societal level, you may be a respectable citizen of the country, and you are also playing a role as a human and contributing to the well being of the mankind. In a different level, it is your profession in which you have professional responsibilities, ethics. In this level, you may practice as a professional and also develop a career. There, you may be playing another responsible role while earning a living. It to the best of our abilities. Yet, have we paid enough attention to the next level, which I am going to show now? In this level, it is yourself, the individual. There are self responsibilities. Each person is an individual having his or her own personality, developed over a very, very long period of time in the samsara. You may ask yourself, am I giving sufficient attention to this role? So far, we looked at 4 domains in which you may be playing different roles. The personal or individual level, then family level or family domain, then professional domain, and the social domain. To me, a successful person in life must learn to be successful at all 4 levels. When we consider these 4 levels, we can bring in improvements. we can think of improving ourselves using an outside in approach, in which you may think of improving or borrowing improvements from society level first, apply it to professional level, then apply it to family level, and finally borrow ideas from family level to the development of personal or individual level. You may have already tried that outside in approach, a kind of collective mental programming. Usually, these improvements you get are short lived because you notice that it shifts back to the habits of the self. I propose a different way, inside out approach. Life improvements may work best inside out rather than outside in. First, improve at personal level and then allow it to overflow to all other levels and make it happen outwards as shown here. That's exactly what meditation does. We start understanding the personal domain or personal level, improve it, and bring those improvement out to the family level. Improvements in family level, we project outwards to improve professional level, which in return improves our social level. Let me take an example from Kandaraka Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya. It has some points to ponder for making a start. Let's see this diagram. There are four squares. This area is about the self, doing no harm to the self, and being harmful to the self. The columns are about how you behave towards the others. This column causing no harm to the others. This column causing harm to the others. We usually feel that we are in this square one. But according to Lord Buddha, only those who have achieved Nibbana or Arahathood are in this square one. Of course, I don't think that you are in these squares. Maybe you are in square 3. Maybe many of us, professionals, may be here. Isn't square 1 better than square 3? We can keep thinking about it. If I'm in square 3, I'm doing no harm to the others, but I'm doing self-harm. Keep thinking, what are the harmful things I'm doing to myself? If you keep harmful thoughts in your mind, it harms in return to you now and in the future. So it's all about the mind. Having thoughts which can harm you in the mind cause self harm, and what we should try is to move from square 3 to square 1. Keep thinking about this as we go along. Yet another 4 squares in this slide. Here again, the secret is to explore the blind self and the unknown self. Blind self is not known to you, but it's what is known to others about you. Unknown self is a part which is not known to you, and it's also not known to the others. So we should explore the circled area in this figure deeper and deeper. Here is one way to go about it. Keep decomposing yourself step by step. The body, the mind, and the thoughts that come to the mind and go away. And as we decompose the body, the mind, the thoughts, somewhere down, you will notice that you get stuck. Maybe because we haven't thought of that in this way before. You may ask, where do I get stuck and why? We need to clear any barriers to this thinking. After all, it's all about understanding yourself, isn't it? The body, maybe we have studied, we know there are senses, and we know there are actuators, many muscles as actuators. And we know the chemistry of the body to some extent. But knowing the body, is it enough to understand oneself? Maybe this is something we should keep asking ourselves. Do I know myself enough? For example, the thoughts. Have I classified the thoughts into feelings, the perceptions, the actions, and have I thought of how the mind works and the thought process of myself? When you come to terms with these understandings, you may claim that you know yourself better. You know yourself once you understand the intertwined relationships between the body, the mind, and the thoughts. Okay, let's look at life from another angle now. Look at the figure. This situation shows an example of what we do not want to be part of. Assume that this is your office and this is your work desk. What would you do if you are to start from here? Naturally, we would like to organize it this way. And that's the way to go, to organize. Take another example. Assume this is your home. And there again, we do not want to be part of this. If it is your home, what would you do if you are to start from here? Naturally, you would organize it in this way. Then it's your home, isn't it? So we realize this is the way to go in improving oneself. When things are not in order, we need to clean and put the things in order again. Some people make it a good habit. They not only remain composed and organized, but achieves more. Let's think of our own minds and the thoughts. By the end of the day, the mind may also be like this. You may have felt it in many days. What would you do if you notice your mind like this? Maybe at the end of the day, or maybe during the day, due to various incidences that occur, that happen to us. What would you like to do? If we compare this with the two situations I highlighted earlier, the office situation, the home situation, and now the mind situation. This is one way to clear. This is what they did those days in India to clean their minds and bodies. It's Ganganam river. They clean their bodies and they believed that cleaning the body will clean their minds at the end of the day. Cleaning the body will purify their minds. Today you may ask, am I very different from that? What do I normally do when I am mentally tired, exhausted, disorganized? You may notice many people either take a bath, a nap, or both. Same as those old days. Have we improved? Let's take few scenarios to help us remember some ideas. This is one example. an example given by Lord Buddha. Imagine a house on fire. During a day, our minds are similar. Just like a house on fire, we feel the agony, we feel the mental pain. It affects us physically as well. We undergo a lot of incidents, work pressure, deadlines, targets. Compare the mind with a house on fire. What happens during the night? Still on fire, but not fuming like in the day. Yet, it's still very hot. This cycle repeats day by day. Here is the cause. You know this example. When you hold a glass for too long, a glass of water for too long, you know it aches. Similarly, holding to a thought too long makes one tired, makes a person exhausted, makes a person unsatisfied. The mind aches if the thought is a bad one. It creates the situation of internal burnout. Letting go of it is quite an art to accomplish. Letting go of the thoughts that burden us is quite an art to accomplish through meditation. The figure shows this cycle which repeats day by day. During the day, the mind is like a house on fire. At night, the mind is still fuming. You may feel that if only I know a method of cooling this. How would I cool and avoid burnout? Meditation does the trick for you. Step by step, it helps you to remove the heat, remove the burning effect. Here is a second example. See the cloth. It's contaminated by what came from outside. The dirt. The mind is also like that. A mind is also like that, contaminated by bad thoughts that came from outside. A mind can be fully cleaned to the most pure state like this. All contaminations can be removed step by step. But how? This is what you can do through proper meditation. Here is a third example. It's gold. See what has happened to gold when it has exposed to impurities for a long time. What would happen to a pure mind when exposed to bad thoughts over a long period of time is exactly the same. Through meditation, it can be fully purified like this. Once purified, the pure gold is so flexible, and an accomplished goldsmith can turn them into any shapes he like. Same way, when the mind is cleaned from impurities, bad thoughts, it becomes so flexible, and such a mind brings happiness, internal happiness, and it can make you do wonders. It depends how much cleansing you want to do. Meditation can take you to many levels of mind cleansing. If one wants full cleansing, he or she needs determination and perseverance. The idea of achieving such level of purity is like planting a seed in the mind as a thought to achieve the ultimatum, the Nibbana. That thought must be constantly nurtured and looked after. Here is an example. Imagine a plant. Can it survive without these ingredients? Think of them one by one. Imagine what happens if any one of these are not available. The soil, the water, the sunlight, air, and the fertilizer. Each one is so vital, isn't it? The same way, the idea of achieving full purity of the mind should be supported by five factors: the faith, Shraddha, the energy, concentration, mindfulness, wisdom. Shraddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Prajna. If the seed, the thought of purifying the mind fully, is supported by these five factors, it will grow. If any of these factors are missing, you know what happens. The full purity cannot be achieved. Yet one may reach certain purity level, but without having all five, full purity may not be possible. These five factors should be parallelly developed in the mind because one supports the other. These five factors grow in the mind and start a process which continue to clean our mind from bad thoughts and achieve the ultimate purity, the Nibbana. Lord Buddha says in Pali, Bhaveti kusala dhamme asevati vaddeti tatayati bhavana. If a particular way of thinking promotes and causes good deeds, I call it meditation. If a particular way of thinking promotes and causes good deeds, I call it meditation. This is a definition of meditation. It suggests we should keep good thoughts in our minds, continuously use them, reuse them in such a way that it promotes good deeds, good actions in all our activities. In Sinhala, it says, යම් චේතනාවක් කරන කොටගෙන කුසල ධර්ම වැඩේද වැඩි දියුණු කෙරේද ඒ චේතනාව භාවනා නම් වේ. යම් චේතනාවක් කරන කොටගෙන කුසල ධර්ම වැඩේද වැඩි දියුණු කෙරේද ඒ චේතනාව භාවනා නම් වේ. To check what happens in the mind, you can check what am I talking to myself. Think of the internal conversation going on. A thought comes into your mind. In this loop, the self-talking loop, which we are unable to stop, which happens all the time. What am I talking to myself? If the thought feeding back like this happens to be a bad one, it generates vitakka, vichara, manyana and prapancha. All these will create a feedback system which will grow. like this, like a monster hurricane in the mind, and it will continue to pressurize yourself, continue to make you unhappy in times to come. If that is the case, you should check, what am I doing to myself? Am not I harming myself? As we discussed earlier in the Kandaraka Sutra, such thoughts will create this feedback system which will continue to harm in many future times to come. The next question then would be, can I control this loop? Of course you can, and you can use the loop itself to do that. Take a good thought, a meditation thought, which is in Pali it's called kamatahan. Take a meditation thought like that and let yourself to speak about it to yourself again. Repeat the thought. Repeat the thought. Repeat the thought. Continue to do it many times. And then we are using this unstoppable loop, seemingly unstoppable loop, to change our mind in a direction we want. It becomes a self-cleaning cycle, cleansing cycle of the mind from bad thoughts. This is what meditation is. And it breaks the self-talk loop by injecting a meditation thought into the loop. And then we can practice to repeat it to ourselves so many times. That is a time in which we are sitting and doing meditation. And this will result in step-by-step, gradual cleansing of the mind. New understandings will dawn. Yet, it's difficult to continue to think of a good thought or meditation thought because our habits are different. Think of it like driving. We have to keep straight. We can't allow the vehicle to drift to the left, and we can't allow it to drift to the right. We can't afford to go too slow. We may not be able to go too fast. We might collide with something. Or we should not go without knowing exactly where we go, without setting the target or the objective. So controlling the mind, keeping the mind on target while practicing meditation is very tough because our mind is pulled in different directions and the focus goes away. The extreme likes for different things that we have in our mind will pull us in one direction. The extreme dislikes that come to our mind will pull us in opposite direction. And the laziness that sets in will cause our thought process to be very slow, and sometimes you may feel asleep. And the fourth issue is the randomness of the thoughts, which will put our thoughts in disarray and we lose our concentration as a result. The fifth one is the doubt of destination, what we are doing, what is there to achieve, and who is guiding us. Are there other intelligent people who have followed this path and purified their minds and found happiness? That kind of doubts will hang and will be looming in our minds to stop us from that self talk loop and take our minds away from the meditation, the concentration. This is why I said that it's like driving. We should be in control. Being aware of these five factors will help us to keep in control while meditating. In Sinhala, we call them Nivarana. In simple terms, we may consider them as Alim, Gatim, අලස නැත්නම් නිදිමත ගතිය, හිතේ විසිරීම නැත්නම් පසුතැවීම, සහ අරමුණ ගැන ඇතිවෙන සැකය. මේ මාර්ගය ගැන, මේ ප්‍රතිඵල ගැන ඇතිවෙන සැකය. So when the mind gets caught in those five, it's like a mesh. These five factors will pull us into the mesh and we get entangled. Our minds, the thought process gets entangled in those five and prevent us from going through the mesh. But a clever person will find a way to swim through the gap in the mesh to the destination. Being aware of the five factors that hinder the growth of the meditation thought is very important. There are ways to control each one of them. Controlling can be done by selecting correct meditation thought. Meditation itself can be used to suppress each one of these five. These are the Sinhala words again. So remember them because they will be the barriers, mental barriers that blocks our way. More we understand these barriers, more we find freedom from them. Out of those five, there are two greatest distractors. Extreme dislikes will come to our mind and pull us in one way, and extreme likes will pull our mind in the other way while we meditate. These disturbing thoughts are so powerful, and at all times when we are not meditating, we will be either on this side or on the other side. It's like a seesaw, either this or that, and we miss the midpoint. We miss the middle because we see some happiness, some kind of happiness at the two extremes, the two ends. The center. One may think that the center is very boring, no action, and therefore we would like always the two ends, either here or there, because there is motion, there is action, and there is joy. But the problem is, once you get used to it, you want more and more. The craving will drive you into dissatisfaction. What we thought as satisfaction earlier, we have to rethink, because it causes craving to have more and more. And in the long run, we feel the craving does more damage to us, leaving us helpless and dissatisfied. One may think of exploring the center. Although there is no motion, less action, there is tranquility, stability, peace, and stability. What is this center? Standing in the center is what the meditator would target in the initial stages of meditation. By avoiding the two greatest distractors, we can reach the middle. We can be in the middle. If we do not allow the extreme dislikes and the extreme likes to pull us in the two directions, then we can remain in the middle. Those who have done so knows how peaceful, how happy you can be there while being there. In Sinhala we call it upeksha state of mind. Upeksha can be used to completely remove the dislikes. However, this process has four stages. Metta is extending loving kindness to living beings. Karuna means empathizing with the suffering of other living beings. Mudita, that is rejoicing in the well-being and joy of other beings. And finally, Upekha is patient acceptance of both the joy and the suffering of all beings, including yourself. However, These must be practiced in the correct sequence. First, loving kindness is easy to start with. Once we develop loving kindness in our mind to a certain level, then we can start developing compassion, karuna. When that develops to a certain level, you can start developing mudita, the empathetic joy of well-being of others. And finally, once mudita develops to the correct stage, one can start to develop upeksha, the equanimity. Following the correct sequence like this will help us to gradually remove the burden of the dislikes from our mind. The effect will be the extreme dislikes will be pushed step by step by using these four thoughts: loving kindness first, then compassion, karuna, then empathetic joy, mudita, and then equanimity, the upeksha. The upeksha state completely removes the dislikes that burden our mind and bring us to that middle point. Of course, in the same way, from the other side, in fact, the right hand side of this figure, which shows extreme likes that also burden our mind, and that should be brought down in stages in the same way as we reduced the extreme dislikes. The loving kindness meditation. This is the meditation we can use to overcome the one greatest distractor, which is the extreme dislikes. Assume that you are like this robot, and others, they have the remote control for you. A person press a button and you feel fear. They can generate fear in your mind. Another button, they can generate sorrow in your mind, anger in your mind, hatred in your mind. You are helpless. You are reacting because you have no control of this. You think that they are generated by others' action or from outside. In fact, the truth is that you have lost control of yourself, enabling the society or others to control you that way. Let us consider a few scenarios in life, cross section of life, in which you are subjected to situations that you don't like. Have you been to situations? Has these things happened to you? Things like physical pain, mental pain, agony. And think of all these situations. What's going on in the minds of these people? If you have been subjected to such situations, what went on? What went through your mind at that time, in those times? These are called extreme dislikes. Things such as physical suffering, illness, physical pain, diseases, then mental suffering, such as mental pain, anxiousness, depression, fear, anger, hatred, sorrow. They burden your mind. None of them you like. In fact, they are extreme dislikes that appears again and again, replays again and again in our minds to disturb our meditation self-talk process when we embark on the meditation. Therefore, we must be careful of these feelings, these situations, because they are extremes. They are not in the middle of the seesaw, they are on one end. So, such habits we must get rid of. And when we are in the middle, we feel peacefulness. We are free from such feelings. The loving kindness is the solution. Loving kindness meditation. You extend loving kindness to yourself and all living beings. Loving kindness has no conditions, nor does it depend on whether one deserves loving kindness or not. Loving kindness thoughts are not restricted to friends and family. It extends out from personal categories to include all living beings, those you can see and even those you cannot see. And in return, there are no expectations of anything. We extend loving kindness unconditionally to all living beings and never think whether those deserve it or not. First, one must relax and bring his mind, thoughts to the present moment. Concentrate on oneself and then feel the removal of the dislikes. You can choose the words such as, may I be well and happy. May I be free from all physical sufferings. May I be free from fear. Fear is another factor, another thought that burden our mind and that belong to this category called dislikes. May I be free from anger. May I be free from enmity. May I be free from grief and sorrow. May I be free from all mental sufferings. And finally, may I take care of myself happily. It is not the words that are important, it is the removal of, it is the feeling of the removal of the burdening thought, such as the removal of fear. The feeling that the fear is fading away right at this present moment. And then the feeling that the anger is fading away right at this present moment. So one should concentrate on the real feeling rather than the word. These loving kindness thoughts on the self can be repeated several times until the loving kindness feeling is complete and the person feels the loving kindness developing within himself. And once it develops within him, then it can be extended towards living beings outside. You may consider the direction you are facing as north and first extend the loving kindness thoughts towards all living beings in the northern direction. Although this figure shows humans, it could be any living being and all living beings who are visible and even invisible living beings that the person knows about. Starting from himself or herself, then extending the thought outwards. Not only humans, many other or all other living beings that he can think of. 8 directions shown here, then upward direction and downward direction to be added, altogether making it 10. So extend the loving kindness thought in all 10 directions to all living beings and wish that their mental sufferings, physical sufferings, fear, anger, sorrow, such feelings of extreme dislikes to fade away, to vanish, and all living beings to be relieved from such feelings. According to Buddhism, the shapes that is appearing on the screen are ourselves. They are photographs of ourselves or oneself. A photograph is how you looked like some time back. And all these shapes are how one looked like early days, far back in Sansara. We have taken all these shapes. So, in fact, when you look at such a screen, you are looking at yourself in the past and also yourself in the future if you do not get out of this vicious loop of samsara. So, meditation helps us to get out of this vicious loop permanently. Now, let us do the meditation of loving kindness for a short time. You may close the eyes, bring your mind to the present moment, your posture. Think of yourself and let us think like this. May I be well and happy. May I be free from all physical suffering. May I be free from fear. May I be free from anger. May I be free from enmity. May I be free from grief and sorrow. May I be free from all mental suffering. May I take care of myself happily. May I feel loving kindness. Now imagine all those disturbing, disliking thoughts in the mind completely fading away, and you are being absorbed to the feeling of full loving kindness. Let us now repeat. May I be well and happy. May I be free from physical suffering. May I be free from fear. May I be free from anger. May I be free from enmity. May I be free from grief and sorrow. May I be free from all mental suffering. May I take care of myself happily. May I feel loving kindness. May I be well and happy. May I be free from all physical sufferings. May I be free from fear. May I be free from anger. May I be free from enmity. May I be free from grief and sorrow. May I be free from all mental sufferings. May I take care of myself happily. May I feel loving kindness. Now, the loving kindness feeling we will extend to all beings in all directions. First, the facing direction you can think of as the north. So, focus the attention in that direction. Imagine all living beings in that direction and extend these loving kindness thoughts. Consider all living beings in that direction and let us extend. May they be well and happy. When we say like that, we mean since I am well and happy right at this moment here, let all those beings in the northern direction be well and happy just like me at this right moment, at this very moment. And then visualize them becoming well and happy as a result of this meditation thought of yours. Similarly, think about the other thoughts. May they be well and happy. May they be free from all physical suffering. May they be free from fear. You may check whether you can visualize their fear, all their fears fading away as a result of your meditation thought. May they be free from anger. May they be free from enmity. May they be free from grief and sorrow. May they be free from all mental sufferings. May they take care of themselves happily. May they feel loving kindness. Okay. What I showed you is how to extend the loving kindness thoughts towards a selected direction. You may repeat it to all other directions. starting from your facing direction, which we call north for the purpose of this meditation, and then the northeast direction, then the east direction, which could be your right hand side. Likewise, you can extend these loving kindness thoughts to all 8 directions in that plane, and then extend it upwards, then extend it downwards, and that covers all 10 directions. And after that, think of all these living beings in all 10 directions and repeat the same set of thoughts. Once you finish that, then you may think of all your loved ones, your parents, family members, teachers, friends, all your loved ones, and extend the loving kindness to all of them using the same set of thoughts in the same order, and visualize all those loved ones being relieved from these disturbing, disliking thoughts right at this moment as a result of your meditation thought. Once you finish extending the loving kindness to the loved ones, then you can do the same for the neutral living beings. Address all the neutral living beings in all directions and extend the same thoughts, same feelings towards them. And then visualize all their minds being relieved from these disturbing, disliking thoughts, just as it's happened to you right at this moment. Once you finish that stage, next you can think of living beings that you dislike. Living beings that you dislike, because by this time the loving kindness thoughts have developed fully and you are really absorbed into that. Therefore, you have the capability now to extend these thoughts, these feelings towards those beings that you disliked earlier. So think of all of them in whatever the direction, all directions. Then using the same set of thoughts in that order, extend loving kindness to them. And once you finish that stage, then think of all living beings, including yourself, and wish that they feel loving kindness. They feel the state of loving kindness right at this moment, and by that time, your mind is ready to become full and achieve real mindfulness from this feeling of loving kindness. Allow it to happen. Let the mind become full with the loving kindness thoughts, and with that feeling you can stay few more minutes, and if possible extend that period, and then you may slowly wake up. But before waking up, ask your mind to be normalized. Ask the mind to be normalized At least 3 times repeat that thought, and then slowly you may open the eyes. And at this point, you will experience a great relief of the mind, and as a result, a great relief in the body as well. And if you can repeat this meditation in a selected time every day, you would notice that that feeling develops to become very powerful and very relaxing, very relieving. To assess the development, every time you finish this meditation, you may compare how you felt just before this meditation and just after the meditation, and assess what amount of relaxation was achieved by these thoughts. And you may be surprised to see that when you are assessing like that, day by day, you realize that the mind becomes full of loving kindness thoughts, fully absorbed, and you reach a state of tranquility, state of peace, and state of tranquility, which we call Maitri Samadhi or loving kindness Samadhi. If you happen to reach there, let your mind be in that Samadhi state for a duration as much as you can, and then you can come out of Samadhi, and that will, when you come out, you will feel the real power of the Samadhi state, Maitri Samadhi state. Okay, so this is basically how we do it. And make sure that at the end of every session, you reassess how relieved the mind is. And when you feel the relaxation at the end, then if you think backwards, you will notice, ask the question, how do I feel relieved? Because I had these disturbing thoughts at the start. The removal of those disturbing thoughts gave me this relief, gave me this happiness, gave me this state of tranquility. When you think like that, the meditation thoughts become reinforced, the experience become reinforced, and the development of these thoughts will be faster. And how would the loving kindness meditation and the loving kindness thoughts support our professional life or work life? When you practice these thoughts and when the mind develops to absorb loving kindness, you may notice that you are much more relieved and much more at ease when doing your work, and as a result, you can do more work as well. And more importantly, you can do it happily with a more satisfied state of mind. And this will improve your productivity. You can achieve more in a shorter time. And what else do we get in return when we allow loving kindness meditation thoughts to develop in our mind, you will notice that you sleep well, better than earlier. And also, you will notice you wake up well, much more fresh than earlier. Furthermore, you won't get bad dreams in the nights. And you will also notice other people would like your company more and more, and you earn more respect than earlier, and you have more confidence to go to the crowds, meet people, and slowly you find the relationships with your contacts and with all other people, in fact with all other beings, improves in such a way that you will earn respect from all such beings, not only humans. I repeat, all such beings to whom you extended your loving kindness meditation thoughts. And not only that, these thoughts will carry merit and give you dividends not only in this life but in many lives to come, in the journey of samsara, until you finish that long journey. Well, if you achieve mindfulness or samadhi state using metta or loving kindness, I suggest you start developing the other three stages using karuna, that is, training our thoughts to empathize with the suffering of other living beings and wishing that those sufferings would not come to them. And when you reach this level, this state, you would notice that the whole metta meditation or the karuna meditation would simplify, and you don't need as many words as you used earlier. Those sentences which I suggested earlier, you may not require as much. In fact, by that time you will be smart enough to reduce these thoughts into very simple one or two sentences, and even reduce it down to only the feeling. Then you extend your capability towards developing mudita in the mind. Mudita means one can rejoice by seeing the well-being and the joy of other living beings. And in fact, with mudita thoughts, you wish that the other beings will live more happily, with more joy than you. And you rejoice by that feeling. And that is mudita state. And I suggest you reach up to upekha Upeka state is a much deeper understanding that the joy and suffering is common, and we start accepting patiently that this happens, these things happen to all living beings as a result of the karma which repeats. Things repeat in a cycle, and we call it dharmata, cause effect, the principle of cause effect, causing the states of joy and sufferings in the minds of living beings. And that understanding will completely erase the dislike thoughts from your mind and will clean our mind fully from such disturbing thoughts. Finally, this recording or this presentation I prepared with the simple intention of sharing the thoughts or sharing the experience, with the hope that the professionals will get a benefit by developing the loving kind of meditation within them and achieve a state of happiness and work with happiness. That is my sincere hope. And finally, I wish you all the good luck for the practice of these meditation thoughts and improve your mind and your work and the way of life. And this is recorded for free distribution, and please make sure you hand it over to anyone who needs, free of charge, with the same thought that I had, that is that he will be benefited or she will be benefited by the loving kindness meditation. And in fact, he or she will go further into other meditations and finally be relieved from all sufferings of samsara. Thank you very much.